How are you?
Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real with Shannon, shining through, laughs and insight, shining so bright. Keeping it real, it feels so right. Still keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real.
Hello, and welcome to the show tonight. So, thanks for
Hi.
joining us. So, how you doing, my little co-host? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Fantastic.
Good, because I'm so excited about our two guests that's on tonight. They are two young men that really have a lot to say, and it really is gonna, shine the light on mental health well-being, because we all got some form of it. So they're gonna talk to us about it tonight. So why don't you give
Yes.
introduce them?
Yes, I'm excited too about our two wonderful guests. We have Kenton Kirby, who is a national recognized social worker with decades of experience in mental health. He partners with schools, the court system, and community organizations to help young people who are impacted by the systemic barriers. Kenton continues to support people through group therapy, supporting people while they navigate through complex issues and life transitions as we all go through. And we also have Corey Steele, who runs a mobile bartending company, and he makes, I hear, fantastic cocktails. I can't wait to try those cocktails. I love a good one. And he also has a podcast where he interviews authors, publicists, and fellow business owners with their life journeys in their careers. So let's welcome Kenton and Corey.
Well, hello there, gents. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are y'all doing?
We're
Good.
doing great. We're so excited that you took the time to come on. We know you're busy and everything, but we're excited that you came on tonight. So, we've been talking about this mental health well-being. I mean, I was talking to Kenton earlier, but about the mental health situation, because now every time something happened, they always want to say, everybody got mental problems, but I don't think everybody has mental problems. I'm trying to find out what is the problem that's going on. And I know you were saying like it's different, you know, areas of mental health. So tell us, like, what do you do with your consulting firm that you work with the young people in mental health?
I want for thanks for having me and Corey. I would say when I look at mental health, I look at it. It's like we all have good days and bad days, right? It's just the challenge is how we navigate the world with those experiences based on our environments that we're in. So as social workers, we learn this thing called person environment. So I can have a bad day, but depending on my resources in the world around me, I can maybe go through it easily and kind of get out of it, or I may not be able to because of the environment and my own internal factors, right? Maybe I think about my own experiences growing up. I've had my bad days, I had my good days, but the one thing that helped me get out of those is that I was in community. I lost people in my lives, but I still was in community, and that was really helpful for me. So when I think about, to your point, you mentioned about, oh, people say mental health, and then it's just like it's almost like a scapegoat.
Hmm.
It's not. It shouldn't be a scapegoat. It's like, okay, this is the thing, but what else is going on? And I think it's about when we hear these things, it's like, why? Be curious. Ask more questions. What is going on in this individual's life? And I think when you stay in that curious space, that's when you can open up deeper conversations. You can get to places uh, with someone that you may not be able to get to if you're making these assumptions of, oh yeah, it's just a scapegoat. It's a this thing. I always tell folks try to stay as curious as possible when you hear these things. Ask more questions. Why? What's going on? What was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just having a lot of mental issues nowadays too, because we have a lot of things just thrown at us with, work and children and just what you see on, on the news, dealing with everyday issues there, and you're worried about those. And it's just the idea that now I think people just have to learn how to turn certain things off or how to deal with those issues. And that's something I guess you learn through therapy as well.
Therapy, being in community with folks, I always say I work with young people and adults who have been impacted by all different kinds of harm, gun violence, sexual harm. And one of the things when you think about someone that's a survivor of trauma, they feel they're in isolation. They feel like I'm the only person that this happened to. And sometimes it's beautiful to get people together and be like, oh, I'm not abnormal. These are things, and then I have other reference points of people that are different levels of healing. And I know in a lot of my work, I'm always trying to find joy, help our young people and adults I work with find joy, because that is from you when you're overexposed to things. So
Mhm.
I've done things like we'll talk about, we'll introduce Corey in a little bit, but like Corey, I used to, in our groups, I used to like let the guys dance for a little bit, play whatever songs they want and just get it out their bodies, right? Harm is the thief of joy, and it's about how you bring that joy back so we can be our full selves.
So Corey, tell us what did you get out of being in the program with Kenton?
Definitely one of the main things I learned from being a part of Kenton's group brand from my high school days was definitely like the act of using my fault, my apologies. Definitely one of the act of using like indicators of my feelings. No, one of the things I've noticed is that he's definitely helped me realize that there are responses to my feelings for things. Let's just say I was frustrated about something that happened in high school today. Those are indicators of something that I might need to change about myself or just feedback about. You know what I'm saying? So all of those things definitely help mold myself on how to be a better person, businessman, and just a better man in general.
So being a young person like you are, you still young, but even younger back then, what would you say to the young people today? Because a lot of them act out. So what would you say to them today?
Definitely, I'd say try to find your peace. Not everything recalls for a response. Not everyone deserves you to react in a certain way. Sometimes it's best to step back and just let the person feel how they feel, and no response. No response is the
Hmm.
best response. That's what I'd say.
Mhm.
Everything doesn't need a reaction.
That's true. And how do you get the young men to come and sit down and be able to talk their feelings and express what's going on with them? Because a lot of young guys like, oh, I don't need to, this is they don't want to be bothered with something like that.
Prime example, I've learned to connect with people through like similarities and empathy. That goes a long way. Me as somebody who's one been experienced from going to college, dropping out of college, growing up in Brownsville, moving out of Brownsville from a business. As there's many things of ways I can inspire people and relate to other people. I've been in the like the judicial system, from like going in the court in and out with the family court system of my mother. So it definitely, there are a lot of ways I can relate to people. If there's a 16-year-old having problems with his mother back home, I know how to relate to that. If there's a college kid who's having trouble trying to figure out his passion, doesn't know what his career is, he's between two different courses in life. You know what I'm saying? I can relate to that as well. If there's a business owner who just now getting his foot off the ground and doesn't really have any much clients, I can relate to that. I've been in that same predicament when I was 24, so I understand different scenarios and different aspects of life already at 26.
So Kenton,
Yeah.
sometimes sometimes when I see things going on, not just even with the young men, because we've got some young ladies too. I mean,
Hmm.
that's really out there. You know what I'm saying? And we
Hmm.
need to bring them in as well. So, do you think, when they are young like that, just like Corey was saying, sometime when he was feeling certain ways and things would happen, that if they don't get help when they're younger, that this passes on as they get older, and that's why it's so hard to, be in relationships, particularly with men and women that get in a relationship with each other, and it's just like turmoil because something is not right, something is going on with one of the people. So sometimes it's like trauma from when you
Hmm.
was younger, and they bring it on into adulthood.
Oh, absolutely. I'll say it's not about just getting the help early, it's about getting the right help. And and I think that's on us as like for people that provide that support to young people. It's about how do we are we talking at them? Are we and if we're talking at them, we're going to lose them. And there are indicators, many of us, that when we're talking to young people and we're talking at them, you got to do this. I've been down this road. I've been down this. What are you thinking? You can see it on their faces.
Uh huh.
They've checked out.
Uh huh.
So that is something where it's like, how do you show up in a way where it's, I want to know what is going on with you. And always go back to this point of how do, as providing service to young people, I am curious about what your experience is like.
Mm-hmm.
I grew
Mm-hmm.
up in New York City, but I grew up in New York City back in the 80s. You're growing up in New York City. It's 2025, 2026. Yes, the same city, different animal. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me what it's like for you, and
Mm-hmm.
truly stay in that space of. In my trainings, I always talk about radical curiosity. Even if it sounds familiar to you, ask more questions
Mm-hmm.
because there are things that will open up. And I think I've mentioned in the past in like earlier conversations of like, how do you short circuit the expectations of how young people expect us to respond? Like
Mm-hmm.
they sometimes they say things to get the response, but why not give you something different and see how you respond to that? And sometimes it can be something as simple as like, "I'm sorry, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to do that."
Uh-huh. So do you think they do? Because like Tiffany had said earlier about some of the kids, not all of them, because we got some fantastic young people that's doing great things, but like when they disrespectful sometime, and you want to know like where is this coming from that you
Yeah.
feel you can disrespect older people, particularly older people. That's the one that I have the problem with. But
Yeah,
people like say, well, I don't even be bothered with them. I don't say anything to them. That's just them. It ain't my child, whatever.
yeah.
But I still feel as adults, we need to still say something to them because it's the way you approach them. I mean, like when I used to see the young men they be on the court and they be like talking to each other like, oh, well that bitch, she this and that bitch. And so I had to ask them like, who are y'all talking about? Who are you calling a bitch?
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And they tell like, oh, miss, we were just talking about our girlfriends. And you calling your girlfriend a
Mm-hmm.
bitch? I say,
Mm-hmm.
so if you calling her bitch, then that means you calling your mother a bitch because she a woman too. Why
Mm-hmm.
you can't say honey, my sweetheart, my honey, or something like that? He said,
Yeah.
oh, that's just the way we talk.
I don't know
Yeah.
where that comes from,
So,
where the disrespect
I
of
think
women.
it
I
has to
don't
have
know if
that
it's brought in
generation.
the household or what. It's like they're almost raised to like hate girls and hate women, so they grow, and that's where the turmoil in the relationship start. As they get older.
Yeah. Yeah. Corey, were you about to say something? Because I have thoughts because we talked about this in group a lot.
Oh
But
yeah,
you go
definitely.
ahead, bro.
No, I was just making a little remark about that. It's definitely skipped the generation that happened after, like, you know what I'm saying, after the 21st century babies. They definitely there's a barrier of respect, and I realize this, but it's do I feel like it can be bridged back? Yes, but with time. And I realize that like the lack of I'll notice this from like my high school experiences and everything. We would still have mannerisms towards adults. Like let's just say I'm on a bus and I see a couple elderly women with me. I wouldn't use as much vulgar or like you know what I'm saying. If I'm in the park and I see children around me, I would not smoke weed and right next to children. You know what I'm saying? We still
uh,
had etiquette around this, but certain things just because it was drifted away as we gotten older, we can still teach the significance of it because
Mhm.
yeah, there's a need for it, and two, it's not like we can just get lost in our times and sense. We just become foolish because of what society has taught us. No, we still have to remember their morals and their, you know what I'm saying. We have to act as if there are people aren't watching us.
Yeah. And I
well,
think
before you talk, Kitten, we're going to
okay.
take a quick break and we're going to come back to hear what you have to say. We'll be
Okay.
right back.
Oh yeah, it's Shannon.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff.
You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Oh yeah, it's Shannon. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. On Facebook, YouTube, it's on tonight. It's Prime for 30 minutes. Join the chat. Hot topics, movers, shakers. How about that? Smart, outspoken, don't miss a beat. It's true. Keeping it real with Shannon tonight. The hottest show.
back. Thanks for joining us. Ken, before we went to a break, you was about to say,
Yeah, I was gonna say how that disconnect between these young folks, young men specifically. I'm talking about specifically young men. One side, they like idolize and put their mother or siblings, sisters on a pedestal, but then on the very other side, they talk about the significant others or women that they're engaged in physically and sexual relationships with this disparaging language. The disconnect is, I think, is connected to a couple things, and I could be wrong, but I thought about this a lot. I think it's like kind of black male socialization, how we even socialize as black men. Also, they were doing this on white supremacy culture, and let's be honest, at the end of the day, who's next do we get to sit on? Black women. So then historically it takes, that's where we're at. So the challenge is when I talk about short circuiting things. So when I'm in group with these young men in the past and even currently, when that language comes up, I don't try to immediately correct it. I gain for understanding. I'm curious. I noticed y'all talk about, don't say nothing about my mother, but use disparaging language about other women in their
exactly,
lives,
exactly,
just almost like to walk them into a wall. And now you have to say, now I want to hear you say something. But then you get
exactly.
defensive. I feel like I'm giving up all my secrets, Corey. Corey's like,
No,
I feel like I
you
did this
definitely
to
on the
Corey
right
back in the
track
day.
though. You let the patient, like the patron, come to a realization of like, hey, wow, yes, I'm characterizing one particular woman like this, but not regarding to the rest of the women in the world. You make this person, you know what? Hey, let me change the way I'm changing my vocabulary when I'm speaking to people because you are realizing you can't just discriminate other women and not discriminate them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're very one
Yeah.
sided with it.
Well, I'm curious,
Mm.
what is the reason why they do that? Why do they
Yeah,
put their mother
yeah.
on a pedestal, but yet, are disrespectful to the woman that they are dating or any other woman in the street?
I don't have a straightforward answer, but what I will say is this: all behavior is a form of communication, right? So then, and also people have so many unique and different experiences. I'll go right back to it. Tell me more. I'll highlight the disconnect and tell me what is going on. What's the disconnect about, and drive a little deeper. I want to open up that possibility. Like, tell me, what is it for you?
Hmm.
Is it misogyny? Is it actual hate of women? Is it my own experiences of harm? It could be a number of different things. But I think it's important to just remain curious and ask the questions. Keep going.
Sometimes, Ken, you know what I think sometimes, and I probably might be wrong, but sometimes I think like, when I would hear them talking and stuff like that, and it's like you said about, and Corey said about, the disconnect and stuff. It's like they trying to show that they are bad, like I'm bad, and this
Hmm.
is how I talk, and they think that street talk makes them look better, look
Hmm.
tougher,
Yeah.
not not understanding that it's not making you look tough. It's making you look, you know, bad because people don't want to hear you talking like that, and you don't know who's always looking at you or watching you and stuff like that, and if you expect to move up in some type of career or something like that, you got to start getting your head together and changing the way you act and your attitude and stuff like that, because like I always tell people, especially when you're in a room with other people and stuff like that, and you were talking, you don't know who's there listening. It could be somebody there that may look at you and think, oh, well, maybe I might could hire them. They sound like,
Hmm.
but if they hear you talking like that, why would I hire you?
Yeah. And
Nah,
I
definitely.
think it's important. Go ahead, Corey. Go ahead, brother.
I definitely wanted to agree with you on that, but to bring some light to it too, I also wanted to explain, like, to put it like this. Also, we all defiancies is something that comes with a part of being a child. You know what I'm saying? When you're around 14, 15, 16, this is sort of to shed light towards why young men and young women are defined or just like vulgar with their language outside. This is going to happen when you're a teenager. There are going to be times where you're rebellious towards your parents, and you might feel like your bridges are bigger than theirs. So, oh yeah, maybe I could stoop out, leave my mother's house, or just feel like you think you this is just a thought process. But then when you come to the realization that like, hey, you do need your mother in your life. You aren't just a one man army, but also in the sense of that like when it comes to teachers, parents, people around you. Treat everyone as if like you have you need a reference from them. That is
Yeah.
something that you won't understand at a high school age. And you know what I'm saying? For people who are 17, 18, they won't get that. They won't understand that their teacher can be a reference for you to get an apartment when you're 26 years old, which had happened to you. You know what I'm saying? Things of this nature you don't comprehend at 18. They go
Yeah.
misguided for
I,
you.
I, I agree. I think that
Well,
the
yeah.
younger generation does not, I guess, forward think about
Yeah.
what the future is going to look like for them. They're always stuck in the present, and
Yeah.
that's the problem.
And Tiffany, to that point, let's even take this to science, right? The part of the brain that's not fully developed
Hmm.
isn't fully developed till you're 24, and that's the part of the brain that's about decision making,
Hmm.
right? So a
Okay.
16, 17-year-old have that forward thinking may not be as available. And I'll even break it down as simple as possible. I'm 45 years old. I got two bad knees, five ACL surgeries. When I was 16 years old, I would climb a tree, jump a fence, whatever. Didn't think anything about it. Now, I wouldn't even think about that because first thing I'm thinking is, what if I roll my ankle? What if I do this? Oh man, can my insurance cover this? Can I do this? So that's the beauty of like the how science kind of impacts this, right? And
Hmm.
then you layer then you also layer like the different communities and experiences that our young folks are having, and we also know that trauma changes the structure, changes the brain. So
Hmm.
that's why you sometimes see a lot of these decisions made like, are you serious? And
Oh,
sometimes it
yes.
gets, and sometimes those decisions are also like, are you serious? And wow, that serious also to the point of a decision that was like, oh, this is totally immoral. This is a horrible thing you did, right? So being able to hold that science and understanding when there's some really, really horrific things that these young people have done is
No, you're
important.
right. No, you're right. Because
Yeah.
I say the same
Yeah.
thing about the young people. Like, are you using your brain? But I recently just found out that they don't really develop into 24. So this is why they make certain decisions. So you have to have some grace with them at times.
You
What,
do.
Corey, I want to hear from you because you now has changed. I can say, I guess I can say change your life now because you're an entrepreneur
Yes, ma'am.
and you also have a podcast. So when did the light go on for you?
I definitely would say the light turned on of like entrepreneurship after college. This was more so a passion of mine from college. I used to make like little cocktails and punches around my dorms, and when I left college, I said, you know what, let me put the initiative to this. So this bartending school was something I had on my website for a couple years. I signed up for the school, and like the first 2 months was the learning process. Learning process got in the ins and outs of bartending, how to craft cocktails, how to make drinks, how to serve guests. And then from there, I got into my first establishment. Now, no, I did not start off bartending and get a business automatically. I started working at regular restaurants for about a year. People started booking me, and I became people's regular bartender at these establishments. From then, people invited me to their backyard parties for their birthdays. That's how the business aspect of it came. And since then, I've been traveling across Airbnbs, private events, weddings. Now I serve over hundreds of guests, and I've done events for TikTok, Dell Technologies, and even Notion. It's a blessing. I
Wow.
love it so far.
Oh,
Okay.
so proud, man.
Oh, all right. So that's why all them drunk college kids was on campus drunk. Huh? 'Cause
Definitely.
you was making them cocktails
Yes, ma'am.
That's the perfect people to start off with, right?
Gotcha. All right.
So tell us about your podcast.
Okay, so Drink Your Fantasy TV. This is something I've actually found I'm very passionate about because communicating with people is something I find very deeply into. Being a bartender, you have to kind of be a therapist to people, get to know their ins and outs, their lives. And I realize when I get to talk to people, I get their vulnerable side out. You got what I'm saying? Sometimes I had my friends come up on their stage and they would speak about their love life and things that they wanted to say to their girlfriend or their significant other, they wouldn't say, they would say it to me. And usually it would be because alcohol is in their system, but I understand I realize there's a way to bring the vulnerable stuff out of people without the use of alcohol, which is where my
Right.
podcast comes into play. So
Right.
I started interviewing book authors, poets, politicians, and just public relation artists, and people in just the business aspect in general, getting to know their real story about what they wanted to do and see if they can inspire other people.
Well, that sounds wonderful, Corey. I mean, that's really good. I mean, are we coming on the podcast?
I would love to have you ladies on there, of course. It would be my pleasure.
Wait, wait.
Thanks, you're more
We
than
can get a
welcome.
few drinks first, you know.
Definitely, I'd love to have you ladies on the podcast. That sounds fun, for real.
Oh, them before me? Oh,
No,
I
no, no.
see.
Let's make it happen, brother.
Yeah.
What you
10
Ladies
say?
years.
first.
10
What you
years,
say,
Corey. I said y'all before me. I've known this brother for 10 years.
I know I'm
You
grown.
haven't been on the podcast, Ken? Oh my God,
Nope.
I
Corey,
gotta
shame
roll the
on you.
red carpet out for me for Big Brother.
Shame on you. Ken, now what's coming up from you now? What else are we going to see? You will continue, going into the schools. You'll continue your meeting with the groups. Um,
Yeah. I'll be continuing working with age organizations that really want to make sure that they're doing work where they are meeting the young people where they're at and actually staying curious. I'm continuing to run groups with folks that who caused harm, have been harmed. And yeah, I'm always looking for folks that want to partner with CVK Consulting. We have some great partnerships and we're doing some really great work. I learned something really from a really interesting friend. She said, it's not brainstorming, it's soul storming. So I want to work with people that are aligned. So I'm always open for soul storming. So yeah,
so
that's
is
what's next
it?
for
So
UVK.
do you work with adults?
Yeah, I work with adults. I work with, again, I run the gambit.
Oh, okay then, yeah, because I'm gonna need you to come in and do some therapy among my lions. I'm in the
All right.
Lions organization.
Okay. All right. I could do a
And
circle for y'all. We
yeah,
got it.
some of them need a lot of help. I'm gonna have to invite you to come in and do that. And Corey, we're gonna have to invite him to come to one of the
The
lines
event,
so he can
yeah.
make some drinks. He can make some drinks for us at the meeting and stuff, and talk about what he does and stuff. So I'm just so excited that y'all took the time,
Thank
to
you.
come on and talk to us and share, your experiences and what you're doing. And I'm just kidding. I'm so thankful that you're working with the young people. I really am. I mean,
Thank you.
I did education for 38 years, and I saw what went on with the young people and the children and the parents and stuff. And and now it seems it's gotten worse since that time. But with people like you, people like Corey talking to the young people and stuff like that, I think we have a chance. So thank you again for,
Thank you.
coming on and sharing your information and stuff. And, please, we're going to do something together. So we
All
want
right.
to thank you for joining us tonight. And
Thank you.
we want to thank our guests again. And as always, we'll see you next time.